How's it going, everybody? Dave Meltzer here for the next 2 hours. We're going to be talking pro wrestling.
I love that.
That's from the Ayala show, right?
It's from the old school show from
but you
25 years ago.
You edited out the Buffy the Vampire Slayer theme song, you know.
I did. I thought about actually just having the Buffy the Vampire Slayer theme song, but I was a little worried that YouTube might grab it as copyright because
is there a reason? Is he a fan of that, or they just gave him that?
That was Iyada's thing? I don't think that had anything
I always
to do with
thought he was a fan of that show because it's like that's the theme song, you know.
All right, I have 5 quick ones, and we'll get out of here. This one's a little grisly. I almost didn't put it in, but I just wanted people to understand kind of where we were in the time of wrestling. Dave writes, there is an independent wrestler working outlaw shows in Puerto Rico who dressed up like Jose Gonzalez and is using the ring name Murderer Number 1.
Wow. That is very dark.
And so, you know what's kind of interesting about that is AAA just had Triple Mania.
Yes.
And they had La Parka.
That's right. I saw that.
Out of a coffin. And La Parka has passed away. So they had someone dress up like a famous wrestler who is dead just for shits and giggles in a wrestling match.
I don't imagine that happening in one of the big two here in the United States. Like it would be the end. It would get crucified, you know. But
yes.
I was very insulted because I love lucha, as you know. I follow their podcast. I'm very much in that culture when it comes to the luchadors and that scene. And when I saw that, I was like, "Come on!" Like, I don't know. I just found that very disrespectful. I don't even know how that even in that culture, I don't know how it made it through all the screening process.
So distasteful, yeah.
Yeah. I do like the closing angle, which we're not going to talk about here, but it was pretty cool. JBL got a payday from them, you know, which was cool.
JBL got a payday. I saw Conan back on TV.
He's been the booker for years, so yeah.
Yeah, but he was back in the ring.
They did, but they did the played out, at least here in America and over there too. They did the whole played out like heel authority. You know, it's like, come on, because Dorian is the owner, right? And he's kind of like the new heel authority figure. And I'm like, again, here we go with that. Like, come on, get with the times here.
And they put the title on Alberto Del Rio.
Alberto El Patron, another scumbag. But, you know, I mean, there's proof of that. I'm not going to say anything controversial.
Yeah.
He's a scumbag, you know. But what other things do you have in the Only the Observer? Wait a minute. Going back to that, I wonder if that wrestler was trying to take a shot at the person that murdered Bruiser Brody, or like, I mean, obviously he's exploiting it, which is not good.
Yeah.
But I wonder if in his own mind he's trying to get back at him. You know, that's what I'm.
I mean, it's only what, a year later, I guess.
Yeah,
Brody died in '88, right?
Yeah. So it's horrible. So any way you look at it, it's horrible.
Titan will be placing WWF arcade video games in the lobby at the matches on the July 10th WWF house show at the Cow Palace, so the kids can play the games rather than to actually have to watch the wrestling matches.
I think they were trying to like figure out all the kinks to WrestleFest and stuff like that. You know? So I think Dave's overreacting a little bit. You know, maybe they just wanted to get some data, right? What are kids gonna gravitate towards?
Yeah, which wrestlers they pick? Who are the ones?
Right.
Yeah.
But Dave's always thinking about wrestling, so he's thinking.
Well, I mean, he loves taking shots at WWF whenever.
Of course, trust me, I know that.
All right, this one is more for me, just because this one hits home for me. But I did not know this before reading this. Did you see the item in the news where the secret location for Bill Walsh's tryout for the NBC color analyst job was at the Titan Sports Studios in Connecticut? So Bill Walsh in 1988 leads the 49ers to the Super Bowl. That would be his 3rd Super Bowl win in 9 years or something like that. And he's kind of pressured by the owner to retire because he and the owner had their struggles, even though he was the genius, with what they called him. Just a lot of pressure, and just he was exhausted, I'm sure, but he probably did need to step away. So when he steps away from the 49ers, he now is like a top prospect for the football analyst job, in which he goes to NBC. And now Bill Walsh, very smart guy, very funny guy, a prankster, but because he's also the football professor, the personalities don't mesh perfectly when he's in this analyst role, because he's got to, be this way. But
Yeah.
well, he did not end up doing that very long. He was soon thereafter head coach at Stanford. So,
But the fact that he had his, I guess, I don't know if they a tape or audition at Titan Towers.
Titan Towers.
That's kind of that's on the other side of the country. Like, why wouldn't you just go to like Candlestick Park and one of those?
Well, I'm sure it had something to do with just being near New York, is my guess.
Oh, okay, I see.
All right. Dave writes, this has nothing to do with Titan Sports, but Chris Von Erich will be making his pro debut for World Class before the end of the summer. I'm trying to think of what is a more thrilling prospect, Chris Von Erich as a wrestler, or Dino Bravo and Greg Valentine as a tag team.
That doesn't even make sense to me. Like, why? This had to be one of Dave's sleepless nights, right?
Yeah, he's had to take a shot. He's trying to make a joke, and that's the.
Yeah, it's like, why would they're not even comparable to each other? I mean, Chris Von Erich wasn't the best, but I mean, the Dream Team wasn't the worst either, But that's Dave for you. When he doesn't get any sleep, we gotta have that editing button ready to go at all times.
I mean, there are a bunch of people he could have taken a shot at. He's still writing Boris Zukov as Boris Zukov's name.
Yes. Anabolic Warrior, Junk Food Dog.
Well, the Junk Food Dog is out. See, he left NWA.
Is the Flabulous Moolah still around?
Jesus. The one I talked to him about not that long ago is, Rick Rude. Before Rick Rude went to WWF, he was always kind of wondering if Vince would like him, because Rick had an impressive physique, but he wasn't bulky. He was really thin.
Yeah.
And I asked Dave, like, not that long ago, I go, do you remember what you used to call Rick Rude? He's like, you mean Rick the Stick? I was like, yeah, that's exactly what you called him.
Yeah, Rick the Stick. I was hearing a show that you were doing with him maybe a couple months ago. And he was saying that he wishes he could still do those jabs, but he can't anymore because, nowadays,
comedy, he can't do comedy anymore.
Will go after him. And he was very frustrated because he was like, they're just jokes. Like, it's not nothing to that. But part of me is thankful he's not doing that anymore. It would just bring more headaches he doesn't need,
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, this time he was brutal. And you're right. He chose two random guys to like take a shot at. With three, actually, if you count Chris. But yeah, we'll see. That was just Dave being Dave.
Yeah. All right. And this is the last one. And it is a correction from something that he had written previously. I
think I read this one.
He wrote that the Ultimate Warrior was having photos taken with kids, and they were charging kids to basically take a photo with the Warrior in the lobby at the Cow Palace. But then he writes, a quick correction from the last time. I mentioned that they are having the Ultimate Warrior pose with kids in the lobby at the Cow Palace for $6, but actually Polaroid has gotten involved with Titan, and they let kids take pictures with an Ultimate Warrior cutout, and they're charging $6 to take a photo with a cardboard cutout of the Ultimate Warrior.
Man, what a work! That's a real work right there.
Jeez, Ultimate Warrior, if you're a wrestling fan, that's a good deal. $6, you get to take a picture with him.
But not with a cutout.
No, with the cutout, that's a giant rip.
I don't care how life size it is, But there again, people would pay, so you got to go with it.
Yeah, totally.